Hello, beautiful, and welcome to another episode of Beautiful, I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and this is the place where I share stories from my debut book that holds the same title as this podcast. I am honored that you have returned to hear more of my stories, and thank you to those of you who have supported me thus far. I appreciate it. For those interested, you can follow me on Instagram at Beautiful I Am Colored. And I'm also pleased to announce that my website is finally launched. Yay! Y'all like that, didn't it? And so now you can also find everything in one place on my website, which is beautifuliamcolored.com. And so I hope that you check my website out. It is also the place where you can order a tangible copy of my book that I've been sharing with you for so many weeks now. You can place your orders there at beautifuliamcolored.com as well, which I hope many of you do. Please keep in mind that my book doubles as a journal because of the writing prompt. So it's both all of the short stories that I have been sharing with you over the past several weeks now, as well as the writing prompts that I've been sharing. So I hope you'll check out my website. This week, I will be sharing 2 more short stories from my book. But first, as always, just a little bit of business. Copyright 2022 by E.D. Booth, also known as Evelyn Barnes. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form or by any electronic or mechanical means, including storage and retrieval system, without the written permission of the publisher. George Floyd. His last name is my brother's first name. Perhaps that connection is what compelled me to watch the entire video. I sat in my basement office chair and took a deep breath as I saw Mr. Floyd on the screen with police officers, one holding him down and another doing crowd control. I watched as he just lay there. There was no resistance. He just lay there on the ground, turning his head intermittently and asking to breathe. The officer continued to kneel, and I could swear at times he shifted his body weight just to add more pressure to Mr. Floyd's neck. My heart was starting to increase. A damp sweat oozed from my pores, and my hands began to shake uncontrollably. I wanted to yell at the screen, but he had already passed. I wanted to push the officer off of him, knowing that it would be impossible to do so through the phone screen from which I was watching the recorded video. My chest tightened, and I think a tear ran down. I say, I think, because at some point while watching, I went numb. I don't know at what point, but I did. The killing of Black men, women, and children is no new phenomenon in the United States. In recent years, between social media, cable news, local news, we have been inundated with images. You know, the all too familiar image of the Black photo of the person who is no longer with us, displayed for all the world to see. Is killing a person ever really justified? Could this time really be different? I think so. There is a moment in time when I believe all the universe will stand as one in opposition to the evils in this world. Eventually, there must be a breaking point. It must be the point at which there are no other options available. The point that compels even the most reluctant of us to go into overdrive and complete the purpose we were all created to do. My life experiences have taught me to be what some would label as superachiever or overachiever. But we live this life only once. Mr. Floyd's murder did something to my spirit. It wasn't fully crushed, although very hurt. I think it fueled the fire in me to get off my hind part and continue to be the winner I was created to be. And his murder also was the catalyst for another season of my life that had arrived. Reflective question. What's next? What is the catalyst propelling you forward to your next challenge? Isn't it quite ironic how soon we forget, including myself? We all get busy with life and the pandemic and all of the other extenuating circumstances that sometimes we forget. We forget that we are still fighting. We are still fighting for change. We are still hoping for justice. And yet it seems that the justice that we're fighting and have been fighting for so long, although close, is still yet so far away, especially when you think about the many multiple instances of murders committed against Black people in the United States. And, excuse me, as I think about this being a politically charged year with the midterm elections coming up, I can't help but to think about a lot of the double standards that are still very present today. I'll give you an example. This morning, this is my first outdoor workout in a while, because I've been doing videos or going to the gym. But today, I was like, let me get out here and let me try to get my legs up under me a little bit, do some fast walking and jogging. And so I walked to my neighborhood park, and everything was going great. I was enjoying myself. I had my earbuds in, and here come the dog walkers. No offense against dogs. I happen to like dogs a lot. But this is just an open park, little playground, and then a field where usually a local sports team practices, tennis courts, etc. And so I saw the dog walker approach the open space where the green grass was, and I saw the dog, what I believe to be the owner, reach down and unleash her dog to get ready to play fetch with the pet. And there clearly are ordinances that establish within the city and county here that you must have your dog on a leash, right? Unless it's in an approved area. This is like common knowledge. It's not a secret to anyone. And I've witnessed this on several occasions, right? And again, this is a small example. And I couldn't help, my mind wandered and my mind began to think, what if the cards were reversed? What if the majority of Black people in this city own dogs? And what if it was Black people in the park with their dogs unleashed all the time? Would we get the police or some other enforcement entity called on us, complained about because we had our dogs off leash? And I could not help. This is the sad part. I could not help my mind going to the place, well, if it was us, things would be different. And that's one of the issues, right? Why, if it was us, things would be different. And that bothered me on my walk this morning for a little bit, as I allowed my mind to kind of imagine switching places, if you will, and how, say, my experience might be completely and totally different than the experience of the person that I was witnessing just enjoying some time with their pet today. So this George Floyd story was a very difficult story to write when I wrote it. But in reflecting back on it and reading it again fresh today, it definitely fuels me to continue to stay on the right path. And I want to close out this author's commentary with a quote, one of my all-time favorites, to kind of just shed some light on where I am from a political standpoint, which I rarely talk about, I know, on my podcast, because I'm very intentional about being positive and intentional and not giving a whole lot of energy to a lot of the things that are going on politically and otherwise in our city, state, and country. However, I cannot move forward after sharing this story without sharing this quote with you. Or I should say, I was led to share this quote with you, and I'll end my author commentary with it. I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. I'm for justice, no matter who it is, for or against. Malcolm X. Law school. I have to thank the summer of 2020 for thrusting me to the next adventure. I love law school, but it is hard as hell. The reading of cases, the briefing of cases, the class discussions. Jeez. But I am here doing it. I think I may have shared that I've always been a good student. By that I mean, I am the type of student who won't be the first in class to raise their hand, but if called on, I have typically done my homework and have something meaningful to contribute. I wish more Black people would attend law school. I'm not here to become a lawyer, but to learn how to think like one and analyze legalese when needed. Plus, you make great connections who end up becoming your friends. If you are not in law school, it's really hard to break down how different this type of advanced degree is when compared to other advanced degrees. Sometimes I can't believe that I'm in school again. But then again, it's something that I'm good at, and I use my academic experience to make up for what I don't have as extensive work experience. This decision was a good decision, and I am looking forward to where it leads me. Reflective question. What are you good at doing or working to get good at doing? Do you use it to your advantage? Does it bring you joy? I am so happy to share with you that I am in my final few weeks of law school. At the time I wrote this, if I recall, I had just barely finished my first semester. And it was quite the experience. It was definitely quite the experience. But I am almost finished now. Graduation is May 21st. And so I'm super excited to be done with this part of my life. And I did want to share just a bit of clarification here to listeners who may think that people who go to law school, all of us become lawyers. At the school that I attend, there is an option to get a master's in legal studies, which is the path I'm on. So what that means simply is I'm not down the doctorate path, the Juris Doctorate path, nor will I be taking the bar. However, I do take all of my classes in the law school with people who are seeking Juris Doctorates and who are also going to be taking the bar upon graduation. And so I wanted to make that bit of clarification because it actually is a big deal, because you know how some people can be. I thought she was in law school. I thought she, didn't she say she was going to be a lawyer? You know how people do. So I had to just go ahead and publicly just make that clarification right now. That yes, I will have a law degree, but not a lawyer. Now that that's out the way, what I really want to focus on in this particular author's commentary is just encouraging you to do what brings you joy. So for me, learning in a controlled environment brings me joy. additionally, because of some of the work that I do, volunteer and otherwise, it was, in my opinion of myself, critical of me to kind of just get kind of baptized into the legal framework so that I can have a better and much deeper understanding when working with certain people in local government. And so for me, it's been highly beneficial in terms of like legislative drafting, for example, excuse me, as well as, writing analytically in a legal way. But that's what makes me happy and what brings me joy. I like challenges and I like overcoming challenges. I want to encourage you that if you haven't quite tapped into or found what brings you joy, to step out there. Like, the first step is everything. Like I was very reluctant, I should say, to put my application through for law school, for example. I literally waited to the last minute to submit it. Ended up getting a partial scholarship, wrote the essay for that. And everything picked up pretty quickly after that, but it took me taking that first step in order to even see it through. And now I'm at the end of it. And so I just want to encourage you, if it's been something that you've been putting on that back burner or putting in the shed or whatever other phrasing you want to use to say procrastination, I just encourage you, revisit that. Think about what it is. As I always close out each week, the future you is waiting on you. Nobody is going to come through here. Now, I can encourage you, but nobody's going to come through the phone, the internet, or anything else and instruct you and make you to do what you feel like you should be doing. That's up to you. You are the person that has to do that work. And so I just want to encourage you to do the things that bring you joy. Take that stuff off the back burner, whatever it is, and get about that work so that you can live fully, wholly, and joyfully. Lastly, I want to share a book that I was able to, 3 short books that I have been reading throughout spring break week. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I just finished up my spring break week here. And I have just really been exceptionally blessed and pleased with the writings within this book. There are 3 short books titled The Science of Getting Rich, The Science of Being Well, and The Science of Being Great. So I bought the trilogy into one book. The author's name is Wallace, D as in David, Wattles, Wattles. And I'll just leave it there. It's definitely helping me to see and think through some things a bit differently. I know on my Instagram page, I shared a couple of pages that I've been reading, and it's just, if you're looking to pivot, I just highly suggest this book. And in closing for this week in my author commentary, I just want to again say that it has been such a pleasure to share these stories with you, accidentally on purpose, through the podcast platform. And also, I just want to say that I thoroughly hope you enjoyed the stories that I've shared this week, as well as the author commentary. But more than anything, I really do pray that you have found a sense of hope and healing as you listen to me share my life and stories with you. Remember, the future you is waiting on you. So until next time, beautiful, you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on my new website at beautifuliamcolored.com. You can also even send me an email if you feel so obliged to do so at beautiful.iamcolored@gmail.com. Until then, meaning next week, I hope you all have a wonderful week. It's been a pleasure and more to come. Bye for now.